All right, here we go. Let's do another one. Ruckus and Luker, we're bored again. I'm Ruckus,
I'm Luker.
and we're bored. Didn't really think of what to talk about today, though. So, seen any good movies lately?
Yeah, actually, I've seen a couple. I went on a bit of a nostalgia kick and watched some of the classic movies from my youth. It turns out Heath Ledger is a huge part of that. Yeah, so I watched 10 Things I Hate About You the other day, and then 2 or 3 days ago, I watched A Knight's Tale. That is a movie that really holds up. Like it's as good today as it was when I saw it 20 something years ago.
I think the anachronisms serve it well.
Yeah, and man, it is. All right, so it's not stacked with like the top tier A-listers, but man, it's got some damn talent in it. Like, first off, Heath Ledger was amazing. Like, even in that at that point, he hadn't done any of his more artsy films or obviously The Dark Knight. So I think at this point in time, he was just considered like the '90s teen heartthrob type deal, and didn't really get the credit he deserved. But man, he was just his on-screen charisma is amazing.
Oh yeah, he's eminently likable.
Yeah, and like man, his the way him and Paul Bettany in that movie play off each other is a masterclass. Like they are so good together.
Mhm.
Like there's one scene in particular that is one of my favorite in the movies, and it's just a prime example of that. It's right after he wins the first tournament, and they're arguing because he just got shown up by Adamar, and he's all upset about it and shit, and he's like, we have to leave, we're gonna go so we can walk most of the way and save the horse. And him and Paul Bettany or Jeff are like taking the saddle and putting it in the cart, and then one of Bettany puts it down, and he puts it down, and they're like, no, yes, no, yes, no. And the Jocelyn's handmaiden walks up, and they're like, guys, whatever. And she's asking, like, what color is his tunic going to be or whatever. And Bettany steps up and he's like, well, we regret to inform you that we won't be attorney. And he just like pushes him out of the way and is like, Squire, do not answer questions you don't know the answer to. Absolutely, my lord. And just walks off. It is such a good interaction.
And then the way they go into this is actually one of the scenes I really do remember because it's probably been 10 years since I've seen this movie. I love that the outfit that he describes is the tent.
Yeah.
That they just take his tent and turn it into a fine outfit, quite fine with the wooden toggles.
With the wooden toggles. I like that part's great too, because Mark Addy's just kind of looking over at the tent going, it's a green tunic with a sort of green, and it's so good. Oh man.
Also a big fan of when they invented the Nike swoop.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't have good taste in movies for a while as a kid, and I looked at this movie and I didn't see the anachronisms and the subversiveness of it. I was like, oh, that looks really boring. It's probably going to be some stupid, chivalry romance movie, and I'm not going to like it. And boy, was I stupid.
Yeah, I don't remember what my impressions were when I first saw it, or like first heard about it. I'm pretty sure I went and saw it in theaters though, so I must have been like, yeah, this will probably be good. I probably was about it because it had Heath Ledger in it, and I love 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, I never paid attention to Heath Ledger by any more of, I know this person's face until The Dark Knight. Like, I didn't really go out of my way to see anything he was in until he got announced and cast as the Joker. And I'm going to be honest, all I had really known him from was like 10 Things I Hate About You. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to suck.
I knew he was in The Patriot. I wasn't a huge fan of that movie.
I love that movie, The Patriot.
I need to go back and watch it again. Probably. I haven't seen it since it was new. I don't remember him in it. And he was like the son, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And you couldn't be blamed for not remembering him. While he is a very important character, it's not like he's in the entire movie, but he is very important to it, and he's very good when he's in it.
Okay, cool. I need to go watch it again. I have more of an appreciation of those types of movies now than I did when I was 15 when it came out.
Mhm.
So, like, I wasn't big on historical dramas back then. That's probably got to do with the 90s just had so goddamn many of them.
I my best friend in the college era of my, not that I went to college, but in those years that would have been my college years, he was really into the history, especially the Revolutionary War. So we watched a lot of that stuff, and we'd like drink whiskey and play cards while we watched the movies. I mean, we were a very specific type of nerd. It was awesome.
I mean, history nerd isn't exactly niche.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, like we would take like, we weren't just history nerds, we were like history otaku. Like we would go and throw tomahawks in the woods at trees and stuff like that. And there was, I wasn't part of this, but another group of them, their dream was to take a tree that they had felled in the Rancocas woods and make a canoe out of it. And they got, like, I mean, they didn't get close to being done, but they got a lot further than anyone expected them to.
I know. So when I was a kid, like, I don't know if you remember A&E biographies.
Mm-hmm.
My dad loved that shit. So, like, I think his life changed when they started running those, and they run them every fucking night. And I hated them when I was a kid because I was like, I want to watch fucking professional wrestling or superheroes or, well, they're the same thing. So, yeah, I want to watch shit like
They
that.
are.
And he's like, no, let's watch this biography about the guy who invented the fucking drying machine or something. And I was like, oh my God. And now 40% of what I watch on YouTube is fucking historical documentaries.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if any of those biographies were good by like my standards today, because there's some really good content on YouTube. I mean, I should go without saying, but like the production values are good.
I'll tell you what, though, it's Netflix that's killing the documentary game, though.
They do have some really good ones, yeah. Yeah.
Did your dad watch the Weather Channel for hours on end?
Yes. So did I don't know.
Why?
I don't fucking know.
Like the only things my dad would watch when we were growing up was the Weather Channel and NASCAR. That's it.
He would watch the Weather Channel if there was no sporting event on. He would watch any sporting event. I've played golf. I enjoy playing golf. I don't understand how you can watch golf.
Oh yeah. I can. I really enjoyed. I grew up playing golf with my grandma. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to get back into it. But unless you're watching like John Daly or Bill Murray play golf, no, it's not fun.
And like, it's better now because high def screens and shit. But like,
back in the day, you could see shit.
480p shit. Like they hit a white golf ball and the camera follows it into a blue sky with white clouds, and you're like, what am I even looking at here? And he's like, oh, you can't see it. I'm like, motherfucker, you can't see it either. Like, don't you lie to me.
Do you remember when they started highlighting the puck in NHL games?
That is the one sport he never watched. He would watch soccer. He never watched hockey. And I heard him say many times, he was like, I bet I would really like it, but I don't know the rules. And he didn't want to learn them.
You know what? I played hockey for a couple years when I was a kid, and I never learned how to play hockey either. I had no idea what I was doing. I got my first concussion that way. That was pretty cool. So we had the way that they did our league growing up. They had big kids and little kids. It was like there was like age and height and weight were all a factor into it. And I sort of straddled the line between the two. So each game would be like they do a period of the little kids, period of the big kids. Then the big kids would get another period. And then the third period would be like little kids, big kids. But they're all on the same team. And they needed somebody to fill in on the big kids for the final period of the game. So they asked me to come up. And the first second that I'm on there, I get hit into the board so hard. When I woke up, I didn't know where my helmet and my glove were because my helmet had gone somewhere towards the net, about 6 feet that way, and my glove had gone over the railing into the crowd. And I woke up being carried out.
Damn.
So I probably should have learned how to play hockey before playing hockey.
I tried to ice skate once. It didn't go well. That's as close as I ever got to hockey.
I played street hockey, so it was actually on asphalt, which might have been worse. I don't know. But my other actual concussion was from trying to run on ice without skates. We had 1996, the blizzard of 96. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but in the Northeast, it's a pretty big fucking deal. We had a driveway and it's just perfectly smooth coat of ice. So I'm running and sliding on it on my feet, having so much fun. And then I stop. I go, you know what? This is really dangerous. I should probably go inside. So I stop, I gain my balance. I'm like, all right, slowly going to step. I take one step, boom, like a cartoon, feet in the air. I'm completely off the ground. There's no part of me that's touching the ground, but the first thing that does is the back of my head.
Ooh, I've never had a concussion. I don't think. I've never been treated for a concussion. The closest I ever came, and you look back on when you were a kid and you do really dumb shit.
Yeah.
you don't understand, consequences and reactions and shit. I had you know what a training bat is, or like a warm-up bat?
I think so, yeah.
So like, you have an aluminum baseball bat. I don't know, it weighs what, like 14 ounces or something probably. Well, you can get these that they're warm-up bats and they weigh like 3 pounds or something like that. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. Yeah, it's pretty substantial. Anyways, I had one of those. I don't know how I got it, but I used to just like beat shit with it. like we had like a bunch of old junk bicycles and shit. I would just go wail on those and shit, burning off energy, whatever. I was 10 maybe. We had a popcorn tree and there was a limb that was in my way for something I wanted to do. I don't even remember what. And I was like, you know what? I bet I can just break this limb off with this bat. I don't know what you know about popcorn trees and new growth trees in general. They're not real breaky. They're very wet, which makes them basically rubber. I run up on that thing, I just hard as I can, and I hit it, and like the bat doesn't glance off. It pushes it because it's very heavy, but it pushes, and then when it lets go, that limb comes back and smacks me in the side of the head, and like I saw fucking stars, man. It was like in the cartoons when fucking Sylvester gets an anvil dropped on him. Like it hit the reset button. I didn't know who the fuck I was for a minute. I was like, whoa. Like I didn't tell my mom because I thought I'd get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because another stupid thing kids do is think they'll get in trouble for shits.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you know that anytime you hurt yourself in front of your parents, they react in a way that's like, oh, you're the dumbest piece of shit around, you little fuck. Or at least maybe that was just my dad. I don't know. But like you get yelled at for stuff that's like, oh great, now I gotta take you to the hospital? Fucking moron.
My parents weren't quite like that, but the sentiment
that is a gross exaggeration of my father.
Yeah. That's probably what it was. But I was reading a Reddit story. Yeah, I think it was a Reddit thing. A kid was like 8 and he went upstairs, or he went to the bathroom upstairs, and he clogged the toilet. And I don't know if you I've clogged a few toilets in my days. Because a lot of people in the comments were like, how the fuck can this even happen? If you clog it and keep flushing it, eventually when it starts overflowing, it'll just continue to run. The tank will never fill because all the water's draining out, and so the flapper will never close.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done that. Like he clogged it and he tried to flush it again, and then he was like, oh shit, and he just went downstairs and didn't tell anyone until like 20 minutes later. Water starts dripping from the air conditioning vent, and they're like, huh, wonder what's happening there. And then like 15 minutes after that, the entire ceiling caved in.
Oh God.
And all because he was too afraid. He thought he was going to get in trouble. So he just freaked out and didn't say anything. And I was like, oh man, that's
why I don't shit nowhere but home. That's not even true. Maybe we can do another episode on that, because that's gonna have to be a special episode. Clogging a toilet though, you don't want to tell anybody about that. Like I've definitely fought that battle in secret before, and luckily nothing that terrible has ever happened to me, but there have been some close calls. I learned how to operate a plunger at a very young age.
I don't think I've ever clogged a toilet at someone's house, but sometimes you just got those greasy ones that leave giant streaks.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I got to clean their fucking toilet.
Yeah. You can't fucking leave it like a holy diver just riding the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, is that what Ronnie James Dio meant? Is when you see what I mean? Is that what he's talking about? Is he talking about shit stripes in a toilet bowl?
I don't think so, but but also possibly.
But also, if you see those stripes, you know it's not clean. Thank you, folks. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses. But yeah, Heath Ledger's been in a lot of really great movies. I remember this one I saw. I've been watching. I love horror movies with Christian mythology in it. And I've been watching the show Evil, and it reminded me of a movie that he made. It was actually the same director as The Knight's Tale, and even Mark Addy and Shannon, really pretty lady, was in it too. The Order, I think it was called. I remember it was about the Sin Eater, and it had something to do with eating sin, like somebody who's like instead of absolving somebody's sins, those sins got absorbed by somebody else. It was weird.
Spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie that nobody's seen.
Well, that's in the beginning of the movie. That's like the intro. That's not even what the conflict of the movie's about. I forget what it is. So I guess we'll watch that one and do another episode about Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. I need to watch it. I'm 90% sure I saw it, like probably when it hit the video stores, in like 2003, 2004. But I haven't seen it since. I watched the trailer you sent me the other day, and it seems very familiar. Also, just to interject on that, why don't we get trailers like that anymore? That was the classic like 80s, 90s movie trailer where it was like, in a world where there's a priest that eats sin.
Yeah. Trailer narration is a dying art, and also somehow they didn't give away as much of the movie with that narration as they do nowadays. Like the trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out in 2000, what was that, 23? Was that last year? Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
You knew front to back how that movie was going to be by the end of that trailer. When you saw the Super Mario Brothers trailer from the 1994 Super Mario Brothers the movie, the only thing you knew about that movie was that it was going to be a piece of shit.
Okay, so that is not a fair comparison because one of those movies was an obvious Mario movie that included all the hits that you wanted to see, and you know it was made for kids. The other one was made for crazy people and didn't make any goddamn sense.
Here's the thing that's wild about that movie is that it's a terrible Super Mario Brothers movie. It is a fun, maybe, Super Mario Brothers movie, but it does not adapt the material very well. But as far as 90s era sci-fi movies go, it's pretty fucking cool. Like if you remove all of the Mario, the Big Bertha, the Iggy and Spike, the Koopa, if you remove all of the names and just do that the universe split in two, and now there's fungus overrunning a dinosaur world, and that's all cool stuff.
And the fungus is the king.
And the fungus. And Lance Henrik. What the fuck was Lance Henriksen doing in that movie? Nobody ever talks about the fact that Lance Henriksen is even in that movie. And I don't know. But it's awesome. He shows up, he coughs out a bunch of mushroom mucus and goes, gotta love those plumbers.
I haven't seen it in a very long time. I have no idea how it holds up. I loved it as a kid, but I didn't really care about Mario. First off, look, people are like, oh, the Mario IP. It was 1993, probably
93, 94, something like that. Yeah.
So we were up to what? Super Mario World on the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Mario lore. Like, what? You're just mad that Koopa didn't look like a turtle dragon. Like, that's the only lore they didn't include was they didn't look like the characters. Like, there was no Mario lore. Tell me plot of the first Super Mario game.
I mean, there are definitely some things that you could say were keystones of it. You know, a princess in a castle. You know, I mean, the fact that Koopa should have been a giant, a turtle monster is relevant. You know, that's not a completely irrelevant argument. It is shown to be set in a fantasy world rather than a steampunk sci-fi world. So I could definitely see that there are some arguments to be had there, but also, it really was a first of its kind attempt at anything that maybe it wasn't the first attempt at turning a video game into a movie, but one of, and really sort of set the bar for how low it could go.
Is it the first? It's definitely. I would bet it's probably the first to do any major franchise. I don't know what
I
else.
mean, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter followed very shortly after. Those were 95 and 96.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything from the '80s. So there was a Tron Atari game.
The first live action, it was the first live action adaptation of a video game, Super Mario Brothers, in 1993.
All right.
There had been full length adaptations prior, but they were animated. So, like in Japan, there had been several Last Starfighter, Dragon Quest, Super Mario Brothers. There had been like
I feel like there had probably been some in America too at that point. When did the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon come out?
That was early 90s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if that predated the Super Mario Brothers movie. I know the movie's live action. I'm just saying I think America had some cartoons based on video games as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. TV shows, Captain N, the Game Master. There were multiple Super Mario Brothers cartoons. There was a Legend of Zelda cartoon. Those were 91, 89. That was part of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Neat. Why are we talking about Super Mario Brothers? Oh, game trailers. That's what, or movie trailers. That's what. God, we're all over the fucking place. Anyways, yeah, I'll check out the order at some point. Maybe try to watch it here in the next week or so.
But yeah, as far as video game movies go, the early era is some really wild and enjoyable stuff. Like I'm not saying they're good. The Mortal Kombat movie and the Street Fighter movie. Of the two, Mortal Kombat is way better. That's borderline a good movie. Street Fighter is not by any means a good movie, but it has some amazing performances in it.
The first Mortal Kombat was good. The Annihilation was less good.
I mean, it is a masterpiece of bad movie.
It is that.
It is a disaster piece.
And look, for all the not good that the Street Fighter movie was, it gave us one of the best lines in cinema history. For me, it was Tuesday.
Just the delivery, for you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. Fuck, it's so cool.
Such a good line. So good.
It is the best example of megalomania ever. I love it so much. Just the way, because and Ming-Na Wen, who I have had a crush on since Street Fighter and still do to this day, she's just as beautiful as she ever was.
I feel the same way about Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. You know what? I will say, I am just as attracted to Jean-Claude Van Damme now as I was back then. So, okay. Fair dinkum.
But just real quick to interject before you finish your fangirling over that chick. How did Jean-Claude Van Damme get cast as Guile when 90s Patrick Swayze existed?
Let me tell you exactly how that happened. Cocaine.
You're probably right.
Apparently, the amount of cocaine... Hang on, let me look this up to verify this before I go and slander Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm pretty sure there was a story about just legendary amounts of cocaine. JCVD, Street Fighter, cocaine. Okay, yeah. Jean-Claude Van Damme was, quote, coked out of his mind during Street Fighter, director says Steven D'Souza. Basically out of control. Street Fighter actor reflects on working with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That was Jay Tavara, who I don't even know who the fuck that is. Okay. But yeah, okay. So yeah, apparently Jean-Claude Van Damme went through quite a bit of cocaine on the set of that movie. Maybe it was worked into his contract. I don't know if maybe him and Steven D'Souza had some sort of deal. But yeah, the muscles from Brussels with being the epitome of the American soldier was a curious choice. I mean, Dolph Lundgren would have been far more believable.
He looks like Guile.
Yeah, he does. He does look like Guile.
I mean, yeah,
he looks like He-Man too.
He does. That is a movie from my youth that didn't hold up.
Frank Langella's makeup looks amazing still, and Gwildor's just fun.
Is that a
Skeletor?
Skeletor, yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's about so that and the little dude eating KFC are about the only two good points of that movie.
Mhm.
It's so bad. Oh my god.
Did you by any chance see the new He-Man cartoon that came out last year? The fact that cartoon made the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren canon as part of the official He-Man canon blew my goddamn mind. When Gwildor showed up in that movie with the key that they used to teleport to Earth, I was like, this is the right amount of fan service. This is perfect. I loved it.
All right. Did you watch the Willow? It was a TV show, I think, on like Apple maybe.
No, it was on Disney Plus actually, and I watched half of the first episode, and I just wasn't interested.
So that movie held up pretty good. It's still good, I would say, by today's standards. But
same actor that played Gwildor was in that. He was one of the I don't want to say the wrong word.
I don't remember what the fuck they're called.
But he was the lead one of those. He was the wizard with the eye that winked real hard, like the nubby fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Barty. He was also in UHF. Basically, any movie with little people in it from that generation, Billy Barty was at the front of the line.
If they couldn't get Warwick Davis.
Yeah, if they couldn't get Warwick Davis or Kenny Baker.
Or they needed somebody else. They needed two little people.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were we talking? Oh, your crush on Chun-Li.
Oh, yeah, Ming-Na Wen. I mean, yeah, I just think that she's perfect. I love her. That's all. She was Mulan. She's Fennec Shand. She's just great. That's all.
Cool.
But start of a trend for me. I'll say that much. And leave it at that.
Was she Mulan in the live action, or she did?
No, in the cartoon.
Okay. I haven't seen the live action one, but I was like, she got to be older, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but she still looks amazing.
Yeah, but Mulan's supposed to be like 20.
Oh yeah, no, she definitely couldn't, play it,
Yeah, that was the point. Oh, Speaking of that, man, the 90s. Oh my god. So I watched in my nostalgia trip, I also watched Varsity Blues. And this one is particularly egregious though. 10 Things I Hate About You wasn't that bad. It was a little better, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who has to be 50 at this point, right? Still could pass for a 20-year-old because he's just eternally looks like a baby. But Varsity Blues was particularly bad. Like, all those kids are obviously not teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking up the character that plays Billy Bob, or the actor that plays Billy Bob. I can't remember his name now. Have you seen Varsity Blues?
I mean, not in over not 20 years.
It also holds up pretty good. I still enjoy it. But that guy was like 30 something. And like all of those kids they're not kids. All of them are like well into their 20s, and obviously so. And all the movies were like that back there, man. Like, I don't know if it was labor laws or if they were just, we can make this, You had all the adults from the 70s that grew up smoking Marlboros, and they all probably looked way older. So maybe they thought they looked like kids. Like,
well, I was watching that 90s show today, and I'm sitting there looking at these kids, and they're talking about like sex and stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, aren't these kids like 8? No, they're high school kids, but they look like babies to me. So I think that's got to be the reason why, because if you put real high school kids on screen talking about that stuff, you'd feel creepy.
No, I mean that could definitely be part of, especially like Varsity Blues was very much an R-rated movie.
Mm-hmm.
They were all fucking and doing drugs and shit, but and that could definitely be part of. But no, here's the thing with modern stuff, this new generation of kids. Everyone, they always say, "Oh, these on TV, you're like, oh, they look like babies," but in real life, like there's evidence to back it up that they are just aging different than.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, yeah, aging is happening very differently now.
Yeah,
I have my mom's high school graduation picture, and she looks like a gorgeous 43-year-old woman in that picture. Like, I mean, stunning. Just a paragon of the age, but yeah, about 43. Weren't we talking about movies?
Yeah, at some point. I was just trying to think how to get us back on some fucking track here. This diverged from movie trailers. We're still on that tangent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, movie trailers. the movie trailers of that era were a special thing.
I mean, they're still kind of being carried on by Honest Trailers. What's the dude's name that did all those trailers?
But yeah, trailers like that back in the day, they were sort of so ubiquitous that like every stand-up comedian had a bit about the trailer guy voice. You know, even you just did that when we were opening the conversation about it with the in a world. Like that was a genre of stand-up comedy unto itself.
Yeah. So the voice that you're thinking of, that everybody's thinking of, is Dan LaFontaine. Don LaFontaine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I knew. Anyways, I remember watching a video with him. This was probably in the 90s. Like, it was a long time ago, but he was just talking about it. He told this story where he was like, yeah, I went through puberty, like, basically in a second. Like, I was like, my mom was like, what do you want for dinner? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe some mac and cheese. And he did the like switch in his thing. And this is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. It's such a good thing.
I don't know. Maybe I get some mac and cheese.
In a world where there's macaroni and cheese.
I remember the first time that, like, as a kid, I realized that cartoons were voiced by real people. I didn't think that there was another alternative. Like, I didn't think that Winnie the Pooh actually existed. I just never thought about the fact that there was a guy named Jim sitting in a booth giving a voice to this creature. And I saw on the news, it was a video about Tony the Tiger. And then I just see this old dude named Thurl Ravenscroft doing the voice. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a person. That's a people that does that? And then they show Jim Cummings, the guy who does Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Don Carnage, like so many great voices. And that actually started my passion for cartoon voice acting. I always wanted to be a voice actor, but as you can probably tell by now, I don't have a voice that people want to listen to.
I along the same lines, I don't know when I realized that Mickey Mouse wasn't actually a real person. But like for way too long. And I'm going to tell this story, and you're going to be able to do some math if you want to, and realize how old I had to have been at this point. I didn't realize that TV shows were fake, like sitcoms and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought they just had cameras in people's houses and cars and at their place of business.
So just all TV was reality TV.
Yes.
So basically, you were the aliens from Galaxy Quest.
Yes. Yes.
Which we all are at some point in our life.
Yeah. So I remember when I realized that it wasn't. You remember the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah.
You remember this was probably like season 4 or 5. They'd gotten a little bit older. There's an episode where Carlton. So I think Will is trying to holler at her first, and then she ends up going after Carlton, and she's crazy and like locks him in a cage or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, Will like comes in, and I forget exactly what he says, but basically he's like, she's still out there, man, and she's looking for you or whatever. And Carlton like freaks out and starts running, and he runs off the set and like up through the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, they have an audience in their house? And my brain kind of broke for a minute, and then I had to put it together, and I was like, oh, this is all fake. Now, I don't know exactly what year that episode came out.
I know exactly what year that was. I just looked it up.
What year?
That was 1993 that episode aired.
That's what I was going to guess. So I was 8 or 9 years old, which I feel is way too old to realize that TV's not real.
I don't know how old I was when this was, but I remember having a weird conversation with my grandma about how it's interesting how in movies and TVs, they tell them what they have to do. But then I was like, but it's weird. And then they'll just sneeze or something. And then they'll just work it into it. Because I didn't think that people could fake things like sneezes. So I thought that, like, I don't know what it was. That like sneezes and emotion. Like I didn't understand what acting was.
Yeah.
Like I knew that they were saying things that they were given a script and had to read, because I knew what books were. But
along the same lines, and this goes into my childish naivety, but this one went farther. I don't remember exactly when the curtain dropped on this, but I was definitely older when I realized that stand-up comedians could just lie, that all their bits weren't necessarily real. And that I was like, that's not fair. Like my life would be super interesting too if I could just lie about it.
Remind me again how old you said you were when you came to that realization.
I don't know, but it was way after Fresh Prince of Bel Air one. Like I was probably in the double digits at least because I didn't really start getting into stand up comedy until like 95, 90. Like I could have been a teenager, like
Mhm.
into a teenager when I just realized all these motherfuckers are lying.
So I used to do stand up comedy, right? Have you and I talked much about that?
Yeah.
I did a couple shows, and I started writing again in like the past year and everything. And I started like creating these stories, and I was like, yeah, but like it didn't actually happen though, so it's not. And then I literally I stopped and I went, but it doesn't have to be real. So however old you were when you had this realization, sure as shit wasn't 37. Like I literally had this conversation with myself last year while I was having a writing session.
Like that's fair. Well, I mean, I have an issue with that because I have some friends, it's typical guy shit, right? Like it's not. It used to bug the shit out of me, and then I realized it's the same as stand up comedy, essentially. Like they'll just lie or they'll exaggerate a story
Mm-hmm.
grotesquely, like not even a little exaggeration or a little hyperbole, whatever. But like they exaggerate to the point where they're basically just fucking lying at this point.
Yeah.
And it used to bug the shit out of me. I hated it because I never do that. I will do hyperbole, but I try to make it obvious so that but like if I tell you a story, it fucking happened.
Well,
Like,
see, that's the same thing with me, and I think you and I have talked about this before. How people will not believe when I tell them something that happened to me was, and then they'll almost immediately be shown that it was true by either somebody verifying it firsthand or it happening to them right next to me. It's the most amazing thing. I can't tell you how many times people told me I flat out don't believe you. The things that you tell me in your life don't happen, don't happen. I'm like, listen, man, I'm the guy that survived a necrotizing fasciitis and a pulmonary embolism that should have killed me. Like my life just is stories. I'm sorry, I lost the plot there. Fuck.
yeah, like the thing I posted in our chat earlier, like with the doctor and the depression and that whole thing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that 100% happened. Like none of that. I'm not making any of that up. That motherfucker straight up called me a nerd, and then was like, "You're depressed? Sure, buddy. You need to lose weight." Like all of that happened. I'm
Oh
not making
yeah.
any of it up. Like and
I
like
mean, doctors, as you know, and any of our listeners would know right now, we are both pretty hefty fellers.
yeah,
Um, Doctors will go out of their way to blame anything on your weight instead of actually doing a thing. Like I've been seeing doctors about my foot, and they keep telling me, oh, it's plantar fasciitis, lose weight, you'll be fine. Make sure you exercise, do all that. Make sure you're doing your walking, doing your stretching. And so, as you know, I lost about 150 pounds over the past 2 years. I'm doing the walk and I'm doing the stretching. My foot's getting worse and worse and worse. Finally, a doctor does an X-ray and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got some broken bones in there, bone spur. We're gonna try and avoid surgery, but we're gonna put you in this cast for a couple of weeks." So now I've got a fucking broken foot. But no, they just want to be like, nah, you're fat. It's okay.
yep, that's what they do. I mean, they probably do the same shit with other stuff too. I've heard women say they have a similar like, "Oh, you're just being a woman," shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like I can't speak to that though because I am not a woman.
I
Yeah,
have had I have had multiple friends all come to me telling me stories of that and everything. And it really sucks because I feel extra bad because, as you know, with the health scares and everything that I've had over the past 2 years, it's been really rough. I've actually had some really amazing interactions with doctors, gotten things treated, gotten things through my insurance that I didn't think were possible, even, all that. So I feel bad when I hear about all these people having all of this problems. It's really,
I had kidney stones a while back, like 7 8 years ago, and I went to a doctor, nurse practitioner, but I'm gonna call her doctor because it's just easier that way. But I went in first off. I think they thought I was in there trying to get drugs because I had no idea what was happening to me. All I knew is there was a very strong pain in my stomach and it wasn't going away. At first, I thought it was gas or something. Like I went and got like a big ass combo from Dairy Queen and a giant blizzard, and ate it late in the night, like 9:30, 10 o'clock probably, and went to bed shortly after. I wake up at like 12:31. My stomach just and I'm like, I think it's that, and I got a shit. So I go try and nothing happens, and I'm like, oh, it's definitely just gas or something. So I go, like, yogurt. I'll eat some yogurt. Probiotics will help. Whatever. This is not probiotic yogurt, by the way. This is great value yogurt. It's basically just sugar. But in my head, yeah. So I go eat that, go back to bed, wake up every 30 minutes, just whatever. Get to work the next day, still fine. Finally, I'm like, I got it. I go to my boss. I'm like, I gotta go. All right, there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the lady, and I go in there, and I'm just like, and I found that if I punched myself in my kidney, as it turned out, but if I punched myself, the pain would stop for a second. So I'm like, I'm in there, I'm fucking sweating, and I just look like a hot mess, and I'm periodically punching myself. And I can see the receptionist go, "The fuck are you on?" She didn't say it, but she did with her eyes. Anyways, they get me back to a room. They're asking me all these questions that I are very much like, so do you just want Oxycontin? Like, what are you really here for or whatever? Finally, they do enough tests. They have me go pee in a cup, and there's blood in the pee. And the lady comes in. She's like, oh, this is the first time I've seen her, by the way. It's all been nurse stuff. The doctor comes in. She's like, oh. She's like looking over my shoulder. She's like, you have kidney stones. And I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. Because I know kidney stones are fine. I mean, you can get real fucked up with them, but like that's not, I have cancer or something.
Yeah, no, it's gonna hurt like a bitch till it's done, but it's gonna end.
Yeah, at this point I'm freaking out because I'm like, what the hell is wrong? Whatever. And she's like, oh, you have kidney stones. Okay, I'll be right back. So she comes back, she gives me a steroid shot in the ass, and then she's sitting down and she's like, okay, so first off, and I remember she said it exactly like this or whatever. She's like, first off, you need to skinny up. Like, what the fuck does that have to do? Fine, whatever, move on. Like, and people say this like we don't know we're fat. Like,
yeah,
it's like it's fun. Like we're Peter Griffin. He's like, this is news to me. Like, obviously, give me the fucking thing. And then she's like, we're not going to give you any real medication. Here's Tremadol, I think is what it was called, but it's like the lowest grade painkiller they can get. It's not ibuprofen.
Yeah, no, I mean that's not even Tylenol 3.
That was a rough. And my fucking birthday. That was my birthday weekend.
Yeah, and kidney stones are one of the most painful things that you can have. That's survivable.
Yeah, so have you ever had them?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
I've been very fortunate, but the way they've been described to me is truly horrible.
All right, so and maybe the experience is different for other people. I don't know. It could work different ways, but I always thought because a lot of people are like, oh, it's the closest a man will know to giving birth. I always thought that the pain was it ripping itself out of your urethra.
No, from what I understand, it's for it traveling through the meat of the kidney.
I did not feel it come out. I never found it. I never saw it come out. I never felt it when it came out. But I felt that motherfucker like nanometer by nanometer work its way through my kidney for about 5 days. It was so fucking bad, man. Oh, it hurt so much.
I actually heard my stepdad pass a kidney stone. I was going to go in the bathroom, and he's walking by me, and he's in pain. I know that he's trying to pass the kidney stone, so I'm not surprised by this. And he goes, "Sorry, man, I got to get in there first." I'm like, "Hey, man, go ahead." And I stood there because I figured it wasn't going to be long. And I heard him pissing, and I heard him go, "Oh," like a sigh of relief. And then I heard tink as it hit the porcelain, and he was able to react quick enough that he could get it. This thing was massive, like huge. It looked like like the stickers you get in the grass in the spring. Like it looked like one of those, like a very small one, but it's fucking haunting.
Yeah, that's another fun thing about them. It's not one of those fun things your body makes where it's like nice and smooth. It's a crystalline structure. It's sharp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if it was like nice and round or something, it would just
probably
filter through nicely. It would still probably hurt some, but
I don't think it would hurt as bad. That was worse. I hope I never get one of those. I think, good God, like I didn't even want to drink, which should tell you how fucking bad it was. I just sat in a recliner and watched. I don't even know what I was watching. I wasn't really watching. I was just sitting in a recliner.
Was it A&E biographies?
Maybe. But I just sat in a recliner for like 4 days. Just it was God, it was so rough. And like that was the first time I had been to a doctor in my adult life. I didn't even know what to do. Like I was like, I don't think I'm dying, so I don't need to call an ambulance. But how do you just do I go to the emergency room? Can I just walk in a doctor's office? Like what do I do? I called my sister and was like, hey, how do I go to the doctor?
I had to basically do the same thing when I got out of the hospital after my first thing in 2022. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I haven't been to a doctor in 20 years. How do you do that? I had health insurance. I was on Medicaid. So like I could call. I was lucky enough that I was able to just call my insurance company and have them be able to tell me what to do. But yeah, nobody tells anybody how to do these things. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to get into a review of the education system in America, but by the way. But yeah, there needs to be some different things taught in some different places because I don't need to know what mitochondria is. Haven't needed it. The only time I've needed to
the cell.
There's only 2 times I've needed to know what mitochondria was. One was because of all the memes about it being the powerhouse of the cell. And 2, because of the game Parasite Eve on the PlayStation 1, which was an RPG made by Square that had to do, the plot line was all about mitochondrial mutations. And basically, I have no idea if this is anywhere near right, but DNA mutating and taking over the world, something? I don't know. Weird shit. But they talked about mitochondria a lot.
So the best meme about mitochondria, have you ever seen the one where it's like somebody's like, Rihanna is a powerhouse, and then somebody comments on it and says mitochondria. It makes me laugh every time.
Portmanteau crafting is a delightful form of comedy.
Fine art, it is. I'll come back to that in a second. Well, sort of not. What? Anyways, have you ever seen the YouTube channel? Again, it's like a meme. Is how I've seen. I've never actually watched it. But there was a dude who just makes videos like teaching young men who don't have a dad things that their dad should teach them, like how to fucking tie a tie and shit like that.
I heard of it. I haven't watched any of it, but I have heard of it.
We need more channels like that. We need like what to do if you need to go to the doctor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just shit like that, like
I'll tell you what, let's make that fucking YouTube channel.
We need I mean, I'm not opposed to it. We need more than how to go to the doctor.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we'll figure it out, man. We're clever. Yeah. We're clever dudes.
But speaking of the comedy as an art form, that you said that. Back to the other thing about people just lying for the sake of a joke or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I have tried to work on that. Like, because like, look, all right. First off, I think it's having this idea that like you can't just lie for the sake of being funny. I think is a good thing. Or at least was a good thing. I mean, still is a good thing, maybe, because it made me better at telling jokes or telling stories. It made me better at talking and shit because I have to make a mundane story enjoyable to listen to.
You have to learn where you can put the exaggerations in that still keeps the integrity of the story.
Yeah, I can't just add a bunch of bullshit and to make it funny, I have to make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say. And but I've been working on like how can I just embellish some of my stories that I always tell? I can't think of how to make them fucking funnier. like adding shit to make them funnier.
Obscenity usually helps.
No.
I know that's not what you meant, but
yeah, no. I mean, obviously obscenity. That's the primary way I make things funny to begin with. Like I don't know how to. Like I can't think of made up shit to add to the story.
No, I understand 100% what you're saying. And the only thing that I can suggest, and I know that you don't believe in it personally, mental illness. It helps.
No,
it is the biggest influence. It's how I get most of my writing done.
It's not that I don't believe in it. It's that we don't have it down here.
Gotcha.
Which by the way was the joke I was trying to make. That like not that I don't have any kind of shit wrong with me. Just there's nothing wrong with me because we don't have that here. We don't.
Oh no! I didn't think that's what it was at all. I know that there's a lot wrong with you. I've known you for a couple months now, right?
At least. 9, 10 weeks probably. Yeah, that was. I was looking back over it later, and like after I said it, and I was like, I wonder if that came across like I wanted it to come across.
But no, so I don't know. I have always had this sort of imagination where I can't turn it off. So anytime I'm writing, if I'm able to concentrate enough to put pen to paper or, thumb to dictaphone, however I'm trying to record anything, I will have the true version, the way that I want to tell the story, the way that I feel has the integrity. And I'll come up with a whole bunch of different versions that are just like, boom, that'd be funny. Boom, that'd be funny. Boom, that'd be funny. But they're not real. So I don't commit them to it. But then I finally realized, oh yeah, I can totally. If cops can lie to people, I can too. Basically, is the realization that I've had.
I'm not even gonna go that far. Just if everybody else can fucking do it, I can too. But then the anxiety kicks in, and then I get in my own head about it, and then I'm like, well, right now I know for a fact that if I tell somebody a story, that story happened. Like anybody that I've told a story, that story happened. So even if they question it, because they also are lying pieces of shit, or not also, but they are lying pieces of shit like everybody else, and they think I know it's true. But if I cross that line.
It's the same reason Batman doesn't kill anyone.
Exactly. It's like if I.
It's why you can't lie to enhance your art. Is because Batman won't kill.
And like even so much, like there's this one story I've told a bunch of times to people, and it didn't happen to me. I was there, but it happened to a friend of mine. But like that story would be so much better and easier to tell if I just said it was me.
Oh yeah.
But I just can't fucking do it.
I actually have begun to be okay with that. Because also like. And anytime I have a story like that, I've gotten permission to adapt that story for my own use if I ever want to use it on stage or anything. But yeah, I used to be so mad about that. Like, damn, like nobody's ever going to be able to use that story because that story belongs to that one person. And really, stories belong to whoever has the right to tell it. So if that person isn't going to tell that story and is okay with me telling it on their behalf and performing it that way, then I think that's fine.
Yeah. My thing's not so much.
Especially if they can't tell a story.
Yeah. My thing is more with that. It's not like I'll happily tell the story about that happened to somebody else. I have no issues with that. Like, I don't care. It's their story. If you've told me that story, it's now my story to tell. That's how oral traditions happen. Get off my nuts. That's why we have Christianity. God damn it. But no, it's just like in telling the story, or if I'm thinking about, which I've never done it and probably never will, but if I was thinking about trying to do a stand-up thing and I wanted to include that story, it would just be easier to do if I say it was me. Like, the story would just flow better if I say it was me instead of the other person.
No, you absolutely have to do that for sure. Like there's a story. This story, I'm gonna go ahead and tell this story. This story did not happen to me. This story happened to my brother. But if I said my brother throughout the entire thing, this story wouldn't be funny. Also, warning before this story starts to anyone that's listening. This story involves a slur. Not that one, a similar one though. It's still got 2 G's in it. I'm going to say the story as I'm recording it. I might censor it in the edit, I might not. But it is integral to the story. I am not saying this from mine. This word wasn't even said by my brother. It was said to my brother by someone else. Just be prepared for when it hits. Here goes. I was walking near the bar that I worked at in the Mayfair area, Philadelphia, right by Tyson Avenue. There's a 7-Eleven in there. I go in there to get a pack of smokes. I come out and coming cruising around is this Escalade, and I just see a woman get thrown out of this Escalade onto the asphalt of the parking lot. And she's wearing like an okay dress. Like definitely it's nice, but like nice that you'd buy at Walmart. And I go running up to her and I go, oh my God, man, are you all right? And she gets up, looks me dead in the eyes and goes, what business is this of yours?
Nope.
And she walked away. And I just thought to myself, no, I guess what business is it of mine? I guess I'm a
nope.
Now. And I just went home.
Okay. So,
but if I told that story as my brother did this, my brother did this, my brother did this, it wouldn't be as funny.
Yeah. So I think that one's okay because it was a European person that said it, and that they can get by. You can get by with saying a lot of shit if you say it in an accent. So you just can.
I think certain words are definitely more acceptable in an accent, because if you're just walking around and you hear somebody like, "Oh, you cunt," "Hey, Dad," it's fine, no problems. But if you're walking through a bar and you hear, "Hey, cunt, how are you?" it's a completely different thing.
Here's a very good example with that other word that you wouldn't say. The movie Boondock Saints.
Oh my
When
God.
Rocco's trying to tell the joke to the mob boss, it's just fucking hilarious the way he says it with that accent.
It is.
And Rocco's just like, yeah, that's what I said. Anyway, so
he hits it so hard too.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a hard R.
And I'll tell you what, that is a great joke.
Fucking Ron Jeremy.
Oh, right. Movies. Popcorn. I love popcorn. You like popcorn?
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
I'm fucking joking. Yeah, I like popcorn. Who the fuck doesn't like popcorn? I mean, how it gets stuck in my gums.
Yeah, that is the worst. I've that's the only reason I've ever contemplated, getting a water pick. Is just anytime I go to the movies and get popcorn. And movie theater popcorn seems to do it so much worse than like home popcorn does. Like home popcorn still gets in there, but movie theater popcorn, that's a different fucking animal.
Yeah, I agree. I suspect it has something to do with the way it's cooked. Because like we had I worked at the car dealership, we had and by the way, you can just go buy a popcorn, like a real popcorn popper. They won't stop you or anything. You can get one for like $100,
mm-hmm.
And it's practically as good as the movie theater. I think the movie theater adds some extra shit to theirs.
Yeah, I actually I'll just do it stovetop, like in a pot with a lid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a pot. You don't want to do like a pot. You want to do like a wide pan.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like basically it's Jiffy Pop without the foil. You can season it too, like put like Montreal steak seasoning in there, and it'll.
Yeah, they sell like a couple of different brands sell popcorn seasoning. It's fucking great. Like I like ranch personally.
Yeah, I want to get some of those because popcorn's actually a pretty low calorie, low fat snack. So as long as you don't kill it with too much sodium.
Yeah, until you add all of the fucking butter.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I gotta not do that, which I've been pretty good with, but every now and then I go full on fat guy.
That's what really makes the movie theater popcorn pop. Man, I went to a movie. It was me, this girl I was trying to holler at, let's say, and one of my best friends, a guy named Marshall, and we got popcorn and drinks and everything, and he was like, "Would you like butter, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "All right, 2 pumps or whatever." And he's like, "No, more. Like he just demanded they fill it up with butter. It was so strong. I almost gagged like multiple times in the theater because of the smell of just the butter he put on there. It was ridiculous. I didn't know it could smell that bad. It was rough. He sat there and ate the whole thing and kept like, "You want some?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I got my own."
There was one movie theater near where I grew up, where I guess it was part of their training was how they did butter popcorn. But they asked you beforehand, "Do you want butter?" Like they don't put it on after. And if you say yeah, they put a third of the popcorn in, little bit of butter, shake it. Third of the popcorn in, little bit of butter, shake it. And then they do that, and then they put the final in that they do the top and shake it as much as you can without spilling it everywhere. But that way it's much less butter, but better evenly distributed throughout.
That might be a better way to do it. My thing with like when you get it and they just put it on top, which is the only way I've ever had it, like once you get through the layer of butter, your tongue is so fatigued, like fucking the rest of it just tastes like butter anyway, because that's just all I taste.
That's fair.
So spreading it out like that might be better.
Yeah,
I would try that.
Also, candy in the popcorn.
I've heard a lot of people say you should put like M&Ms or Skittles in there. Never tried it personally. I could see M&Ms. The sweet and salty would be nice, I think.
Yeah, Reese's Pieces are awesome mixed in with popcorn. Also, cookie dough bites.
I don't think I've ever had those.
Oh, the chocolate coated cookie dough bites. You see them in almost every movie theater I've ever been in has them. But yeah, you get like a large popcorn and a box of those, pour them in mixed up.
Yeah, movie theater popcorn. It's the shit.
Here's the question. Does it make you fart? If movie theater popcorn makes me fart, so bad. Me and my little brother both the same. So maybe it came from our mom. I don't know, but Jesus Christ, with the way we would spend the afternoon farting after going to the movies.
Yeah, that has never been. I've never noticed that, man. And it's gotten so hit or miss now because like so many, at least the ones around here, don't do it the proper way. They give you these little prepackaged shit, but like nachos at the movie theater, to use the kids' term, they just hit different. I fucking love them, but man, everywhere around here start doing. They give you the little prepackaged nacho cheese, which just isn't the same. And
No,
it's also
man, you
not
got to
hot.
get that. You got to get that molten garbage straight from the
Mhm.
tap.
Like
Like
that.
it's like we know it's not good, but it's so good.
And unfortunately, around about the time they started giving you the prepackaged nacho cheese, they also started offering a little cup of jalapenos, which is an amazing addition. I just wish I could have got them both. And now they don't even have like the giant bag of germ infested nacho chips. They give you a prepackaged bag. The whole shit just comes in a box. Like, what the fuck
Mm-hmm.
is this?
Yeah, it's got no soul anymore.
I know.
Like, sure, you're less likely to get severely ill, but who? It's worth the risk, man, to have a little authenticity in life.
Yeah. And half the time they don't even have hot dogs up on the rollers from the day before anymore.
That's the best way to cook a hot dog.
It is.
I will not accept any debate on this. Like, I love a good hot dog on the open fire with some nice grill marks on it and some char. But this, to use the childish lingo, it hits different.
You do. Unfortunately, now to get a hot dog and nachos or the movie ticket is $45 fucking dollars.
It's nuts. That's why you smuggle your own shit in. You go to the dollar store beforehand and just get loaded up on goodies.
But again, man, the movie theater shit just hits different.
It does hit different, but you know,
The dollar store don't sell nachos.
I'll tell you what.
Like that.
I'll tell you what. You know what else hits different though? Sticking it to the man.
Look, man, half the reason I even want to go to the movie theater is just for those damn nachos, okay?
But dude, the stuff my friends used to smuggle into movies to eat was unbelievable. Entire pizzas, full spaghetti dinners with garlic bread and everything. It was just amazing. Like a 6-pack of beer. Some dude would like get him in, like just line his pant leg with cans of beer, and they would bring the whole thing in. It's so funny. In the middle of a movie and like very quiet, like maybe the credits are just about to start, and you just hear.
If it's a movie, I'm like really about. Cause we used to go to the movies all the time, like me and all my friends and shit. Like it just wouldn't have to be something that was like, oh, it's a big release. We're like, let's go to the movies. We don't do that anymore. We also don't really hang out with people anymore. That's a whole different. That's just good. Whatever. Anyways. But no, if it was a movie I wasn't particularly interested in, you could guarantee I had a flask on me. I'm enjoying this shit one way or another.
Hell yeah, man! Hell yeah!
Oh man, the stuff I used to drink straight out of a flask.
I one time I remember I asked me and my girlfriend were going to go see a movie, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to pick up anything at the liquor store for you to drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? Grab me some rum." And she's like, "Yeah, just like an airport bottle of rum. I'll pour it in my soda." And she got Captain Morgan's tattoo. And man, you know that is not anything. That smell, as soon as you crack it open, that's not a smell that should be in a movie theater. Like, you may not know what it is, but you're like, yeah, that's not. Nope.
I don't remember what movie it was I was going to see, but me and a buddy of mine were going to see a midnight showing. Actually, same dude from earlier, Marshall. And we went to, there was a Buffalo Wild Wings right next to the movie theater that stayed open late when they had midnight showing. So we went in there to get something to eat before the movie, and we sit down. He orders a Captain and Coke. I order what was basically my signature drink back in the day, which was a Jack Daniel's double on the rocks.
On the rocks? What do you mean?
Oh, I didn't tell you that. Have I told you that story before?
Yeah, you told me that story just the other night. That's
okay.
I actually, was that on this show?
I don't know. I mentioned it in Discord the other day, and then nobody asked, and I was like, "Oh,
no, I know." Oh, when we talked late the other night, that's when you mentioned it.
Oh yeah, that makes. Yeah, I remember now because I was telling you about that strip club. Anyways, that's a whole ass place. But anyways, yeah. So that was my like go-to drink. So the waitress takes it and she leaves, and she brings back our drinks and our wings, and Marshall tastes his, and he's like, "This tastes a little funny." Meanwhile, I'm just sitting over there casually sipping mine, not realizing what has happened because I'm a bad alcoholic or a good one, however you want to look at it. They
You're a
have fucked
pro.
it. Yeah, they have fucked it up. He got a Jack and Coke, and I got a double Captain Morgan, which somebody behind that bar should have went, "Are you sure? Because who the fuck orders Captain Morgan on the rocks?"
Yeah.
Like, I still drink it. I think it's fine.
I mean, yeah, you know.
I think I drink his too, actually.
You went, this isn't what I ordered. Huh? He went, this isn't what I ordered. Ew.
Yeah, basically.
And he's like, well, it's just going to go to waste anyway. Give it to me.
Yeah. Probably wasn't a movie I was super pumped about because, again, I'm like, I'm going to make this shit fun one way or another.
Yeah. Have you ever walked out of a movie?
Have I ever walked out of a movie? I don't think so.
Me and my girlfriend walked out of that King Arthur movie with Clive Owens and Keira Knightley.
Huh.
Because
I didn't think that was that bad.
We found it to be incredibly boring, and also we desired to make out far more aggressively than we could at the theater.
Yeah.
So that did play a part into it. But also, yeah, I did find that movie very boring.
You know what? There was another one. Oh, goddamn. What was this movie called? I'm pretty sure it was also sort of King Arthur-ish. It's the closest I've ever come to walking out of a movie. And if I had been, it was me, my sister, her husband, and somebody else, I think. And the other two people were, I guess, enjoying it. But me and my sister, like halfway through, were like, we just leave. Like, we could just go hang out and bullshit while they wait or whatever. Like, we ended up not. It was called The Eagle, maybe. Was that it?
There was a movie called The Eagle about like centurions and stuff, I think.
I think that's what it was.
Like a Roman division of soldiers. And I do remember, I believe that it was boring.
I think that's what it was. I would need to see more of it, but I remember it just sucked. Like, it just sucked. Like, it was so fucking bad. I'm pretty sure it was this. 2011 would have been about right. I think she would have just started dating. He wasn't her husband at the time. I think she had just started dating him. Yeah, I bet this was it. It just sucked. Like, it wasn't, and it was the worst kind of bad because it wasn't even bad enough you could make fun of it. It just wasn't good.
Because there are some really good bad movies out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots. Like, I can enjoy the shit out of a terrible movie just because it's terrible, and I can enjoy what is considered a terrible movie because it's got a couple of cool scenes that I enjoy.
That too, yeah. There's ones that are subjectively bad, and then there's ones that are objectively bad.
Yeah. Like
The Room, right? That is objectively bad.
I've never actually seen it. I need to. That's a Tommy Wiseau movie, right?
Yeah. I actually watched, it's funny, I actually watched The Disaster Piece first, or The Disaster Artist first, and then I watched The Room. One of the funniest things about The Room, though, I got it on Blu-ray, and one of the inserts for it is an advertisement for Tommy Wiseau's underwear company. Like, it's a mail order thing. You can mail this in to order underwear from Tommy Wiseau's company. Like, just regular underwear. Like, just underwear.
That's fucking weird. I mean, I guess I guess it's not weirder than Ryan Reynolds owning Boost Mobile, I guess. But
no, you know what? I think that is because all of Ryan Reynolds' businesses are things that, like, they're vanity they're probably, he's doing great things to him with the pricing and everything. Like, they're all that stuff. But also, like, it's stuff that it's definitely rich guy stuff, you know? Tommy Wiseau's just scraping by trying to make a buck, maybe selling a pair of underwear. So
well, yeah, but I mean, it was probably just a business investment for him. Like, it wasn't a passion project. He wasn't trying to be Calvin Klein. Like, he just invested in a company and then was trying to sell it, is what I mean. Like, it's the same thing.
But apparently he's got a history of, like, hucksterness. And, like, I'm guessing that maybe he just had so much of this underwear stock left over that he's like, we got to do something, put the ads in the DVDs.
Okay, but again, the difference between a huckster and a businessman is success.
Yeah, I don't think that he has seen any success.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just he's only a huckster because he none of his ventures have been successful. But it's
I get what you're saying. Very fair point.
Yeah, so how about those Heath Ledger movies?
Mm.
We did that entire thing and didn't even mention The Dark Knight.
Yeah, we didn't mention The Dark Knight.
Oh, another movie that is this is going to go into one of those. It's not a good movie, but I did enjoy it. And I thought I would enjoy it way more because of the casting, but it was okay. But The Brothers Grimm,
Yeah, that was
him and Matt Damon.
Yeah, I watched that not too long ago. It was not great.
I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to argue that it was good. I enjoy a lot of movies that aren't particularly good.
You know, that is a genre that you don't really see much anymore. Movies like Van Helsing, Brothers Grimm. There was Hansel and Gretel.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's like the grittying of but like modern grittying of fantasy elements.
So I think they just kind of got burned out because there was all that, and then there was 2 or 3 TV shows based around the same thing. But yeah, no, I was thinking about it the other day, especially since we've been playing Straw. It's been more on my mind or whatever. It's like I wish they would bring back. Well, I always want them to bring back Sword and Sandals movies, but I wish they would bring back those and Monster Hunter movies.
Yeah,
like I enjoy both of those genres a lot, and they both were popular in the 90s and early aughts, and then I think we just got too many of them too fast, and then superhero movies happened, and everything had to be a superhero movie for a while.
Mm-hmm. Even our westerns had to be superhero movies.
Terry Gilliam did The Brothers Grimm.
Oh, I didn't know that. Makes sense though. Now that I'm thinking about some of like the real key shots, and some of the visual effects, like yeah, that makes sense. He's got a very distinct flair, specific angles. Just sort of things like you like sort of scenes, it's like, oh, that's Sam Raimi. Yeah. Like when people are floating in Sam Raimi movies, like whether it's magic or whatever, it's like, oh, the way that their bodies are suspended, it's like, oh yeah, that's very Sam Raimi.
He also did the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
I did know that. That movie's fucking weird.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I didn't really want to watch it because I thought I'd be sad.
Yeah, it's also very hard to follow.
Yeah, it seemed like it'd be one of those. That's all I have to say on that. It's one that probably would have completely faded to obscurity if it wasn't for it being Heath Ledger's last movie.
That's actually a very good point, especially because they had to go in and have other people film 3/4 of the movie. Like Heath Ledger filmed very little of that movie. Where's our groove tonight, man?
I know.
We got no fucking flow tonight. All right. Well, I guess I'm still pretty bored. I don't know about you, but we should probably wrap this up. Fat Guy Pro Tip. Put candy in your popcorn. It's fucking awesome. Bye.
Bye.